Hi everyone. Now I'm going to be tying, I'll just show you. Now, years ago, I used to tie what we basically called unsinkable, basically patterns. Right? Now we would tie these in colour combinations to suit patterns that we fished, especially in the lochs. Now this one is like a Bibio like. There's, if you're into competitions, put it this way, these were great flies, and it's just they caught fish as much as they did, um, basically to help fish other flies, because you could fish nymphs off the back of this like a dry fly and use this as your sighter. But this having a combination of both works really well. The Bibio was popular. This is one of the patterns I tied. There's lots of ways you can finish it. This is basically tied as a hedgehog. Some would call it a sedgehog because there's a hackle in front. You could put deer hair in the front just to hide the pattern a wee bit, especially if you're fishing in the competition and you were fishing with someone that you were trying to hide your fly, and they'll try to figure out what type of pattern is that and keep the fly secret at the same time. So I'm going to quickly tie one of these. Now, hook choice is one of my favourite hooks was basically the short shank special, or which is the fully mill version, or you could have the Kamasan, which was the B160, which is kind of, in this case it's a size 12, but in this fly here, the gape's equivalent to a size 12, but the shank's equivalent to a size 14. So it gave you a nice wide gape for quite a dense fly, opened the gape up. So it made it popular, but you could also tie in a curved hook as well, but a lot of people prefer the straight or the standard style hook. So anyway, I'm going to quickly show you it. You may not like this fly, but it's a very good fly if you want it as a sighter, as I say, as well as it takes fish. And you can tie it, I've tied it every colour. I mean, you've no idea. The advantage now, we're getting a lot of colours from this case. This is the ultra dry yarn. This one, here's a sample there. This is the ultra dry yarn. This is fluorescent red, for instance, which really, when you put the light on it, it actually goes orange. It's a lovely colour. You can use this in tails, you can use it as part of the wing, you can even use it as dubbing. I've used it, I'll show you, I'll do it all just to kind of give you an idea. So I'll quickly put a fly together. I've just used what materials I've got lying. To say, it's a good style, and it's tie them any colour combination. Your favourite flies, just tie it. If you've got the material, try it. So anyway, Uni 80 in black, they waxed the thread. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put a tiny bit, this is Krinkle flash. This one's a Chartreuse. This is again, it's fluorescent. So normally what I do is take a single strand off, and then I just fold it. Depending how much you want as a tail. Just cut it. I've got a couple of flies out of this, but as I say, it depends on how much a tail you want. So I'm just going to catch this on the way down. Wind it towards the back. I come round the bend slightly to come underneath just to keep the fibre slightly open. Trim this, so you could go the length of the body. I'm just going to moisten this and use that in another fly. Now I've got the fluorescent red ultra dry yarn, which I'm going to use as a tail in this one, just to show you what it's like. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to catch it in and then tidy up. Just take the thread quickly up and back down. You may miss the odd fibre like I have. Now I'm going to trim it probably half the length of the tail. Now you can go either way. It's up to yourself. I like the flash, as I say, blended a bit to suit yourself. But sometimes I like it that way. It's up to you. But you can experiment with that. When you're tying your own flies, you can mess around. So what I've got here now, I'm using this dubbing, but it's black UV. This is it's just a Euro Nymph. It's got the UV through it. I like. Just a hint of UV. This is blends and dubbins I did. What got 20 years, 30 years nearly ago. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of black. UV at the back. Just taking the thread through it a wee bit to tighten it up and drawing it back with my fingers. Now I've got the ultra dry yarn in black here, so I'm just going to tie that in like I would, just imagine that being some CD, deer hair, so I'm replacing that with, instead of deer hair, just trim it. Trimming it's a kind of weird you trim it when you got this, because normally you'd have a natural shape. So I'm just going to have a kind of straight cut here. I can mess about with it later. And to tidy that up, I'm going to go back to my dubbing. You will need a wee drop. And then tidy there. Now I said to you about using this as a dubbing. I'm going to use that. Normally, sometimes I like to put a strand of the red in. You can do that as well. But I'm just going to do the body. I'm going to keep it quite dark. So we tie some more of the black. It's just slightly shorter. Now here's the red. So I'm going to take it about maybe around about an inch. And drop it on the floor. Try that again. So we've got about an inch here of the material. This adds to floating the fly. I mean, you could do it with the black. You could use that as a dubbing. I'm just going to just basically put it to this on the thread and just wind or just dub it on, because it will dub. It's a wee bit harder. It's just a wee bit. So it's quite sort of smooth. But this is really bright. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's really bright. And take away the excess. This is where you could put the red strand in if you want, but I'm just going to stick to the black. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tie it in black, just slightly short. Catch it in with 2 or 3 turns. I'm going to put a wee bit of dubbing just in there. Then basically tidy it up, fold this back. And again, just trim again. Now this is where you could, if you want to hide this. Now before I do that, I'm just going to look for my Velcro. I'm just going to brush some of the dubbing up into the actual dressing. So there's the red coming up, you can see the red there. Just brush that up into it. Now what I'm going to actually do, I'm going to put some legs in. I've got some pre-knotted legs here. This is an orange, but it's lying on my desk, so I'll use it up. Just looking at the length of the fibre on there. It's too long. So looking for 6, 3 either side, or you could even do 2, it's up to yourself. So tear them off once the tips are lined up. And usually if you line them up, they'll line up if you pull them 90 degrees from the stem. Now these can be on the side, just want them slightly longer. Catch this on. Turn this away. So a wee bit of wax there, make sure there's plenty of grip. Now you can put a hackle on here, or you can put some, this is black deer hair. I can tie some of that in just to finish it off. It does help to taper it out. I mean, it makes it look more natural like. But the ultra yarn, the dry yarn, certainly makes it float. Now, you could tie this in like an elk hair caddis, or you can tie it in and just finish off. There's lots of ways you can do it. I'll just tie it like the elk hair caddis now. So I'll just come over with a turn or 2, and then slowly tighten up. And put another 2 or 3 turns in. And then these cut ends, just open them out, and then wind your thread through towards the eye. You could put a wee bit dubbing in here. I might do that just to, depends on how far back you are. If you're a bit close to the eye, just leave it. If you're a wee bit, if you've got a bit of space, you can always add a wee bit of something to there. You're keeping your thread tight. Just put a bit of varnish on your thread. So you can make these up as you go along. good colour combinations. Obviously I've shown you some wee methods in amongst this. As I say, you can mess around with yourself. I'm just bringing out these cut ends. There's a couple of good ends in there, so I'm just going to be patient and draw them back. There we are. Take my fingers out of the way. You can cut it like an elk hair caddis, just slight angle. What I like to do is just push it back. And there we go. Now that's a fly that will float really well. Top dropper. You can fish it as a dry fly if you want, just itself. Or you could, if in a team, then it works as a team. It's a great pattern. So if you're fishing for wild brown trout, rainbows, I know it looks like nothing really much, but these type of flies that save the day. If you're into, say, competition angling and you want a fly, it's going to be robust, last longer, and float for practically ever. This is a type of fly, you don't need to keep replacing it. It's a good pattern, a good style, and certainly worth doing, as I say, just with these yarns nowadays, these ultra dry yarns, they'll basically last. You get all the colours. Now I'm going to put the light on it, the UV light, just to show you. I'm going to turn this light down a wee bit. Put my UV light on. I don't know if you can see it, or it can pick it up, but you can see there how it blends into it. The actual tail's glowing as well, it's because it's got a bit of UV in it. UV is a light that comes in at certain points, especially in the morning, in the evening, or when you get cloud cover, you'll get a nice colour come through. Turn the light back on. So anyway, there we are. That's it's basically the ultra dry yarn Bibio, if you want to call it. In this case, a hedgehog. Great fly, good style. So I hope you enjoyed that.